Okay, here's my question. How am I being less productive in quarantine than I was before? Like, I don't have a job now, I don't have school to do, and yet somehow making less videos than before quarantine. What does that say about me? Hey guys, and welcome back to Cop Out Pet Peeves, the series where I rant about my least favorite tropes in books. Now, the literal definition of cop-out is to avoid doing something that one ought to do. However, in writing, it's used to describe a stupid method used to solve the character's problems. Typically, it happens when the author just gets tired of thinking and decides to take the easy way out. Today, we're talking plot armor, something I think we can all agree sucks major ass in a major way. Picture this. The main character charges into battle, 1,000 soldiers in his wake, but the army in front of them is 10,000 strong. You're worried for the character's life. How are they going to make it out of this? What is going to save them now? You think back to the rest of the story. There's got to be something you missed. Some kind of second wave of soldiers that's about to break the horizon. Or a weapon that only the protagonist yields. Or maybe it's a beast about to bust in and save them all. As an opposing soldier runs at the main character, you hold your breath, waiting for him to pull out his secret weapon and save the day. But nothing appears. No new elements are introduced. The protagonist does get stabbed multiple times. Then he keeps on fighting, covered in his own blood and being trampled by the opposing army. He must be dead, right? Nope. There he is, peeking his little head through the crowd. Somehow he's okay. Cut to the end of the battle, and he's walking his injuries off like they're a stub toe. What the hell? What I just described is the quintessential example of plot armor, but this cop-out can happen in any book. I'm talking any genre, any age group, any time period. And before we go any further, let's just discuss the difference between plot armor and deus ex machina. I can't say it. Deus ex machina? I'm really bad at pronunciations, but I think that's about right. Deus ex machina happens when you introduce a plot element just in time to save everyone, even though there has been no setup to it at all. On the other hand, plot armor is when nothing is introduced to save the main characters. They just kind of live because they have to for the story to continue. So even though this might be a hot take, I prefer Deus ex machina to a plot armor. I mean, at least there you're introducing a reason for them to survive, even though it has no setup and it comes out of nowhere and it's still bad. Both of them are bad. But I actually prefer this one over plot armor. If you still don't understand why I hate plot armor so much, consider this scenario from the side of the writer. Well, it appears I've gotten my characters into a bit of a struggle. Oh dear, how on earth are they going to survive this? They'd have to defy all odds and every law of physics. But they simply must escape, for the plot demands that they survive. My oh my, how did I even get into this situation in the first place? Oh, because I wrote it. Silly me. Yeah, I'm too tired of thinking about this. And he came back from the dead. Now that should do the trick. I've done my work for the day. Now for tea. I'm sorry. Huh? No. Your job as a writer is to make a compelling story that makes sense. Stories that surprise your readers when your characters figure out interesting ways to get out of situations. Not disappointing ones. Now, I understand that readers like an underdog. I'm not saying that your character should be the most powerful person at all times in order for them to survive. Your character can be expected to fail. Just make sure that when they win, there's a logical reason for their success. But every writer has probably used plot armor at some point in their life. I know I have. If you're a writer, you probably have. So if you struggle with this, I'm here to give you my top 3 tips for how to solve plot armor problems. Tip number 1 is to outline. This is super important if you struggle with plot armor. If your characters are always ending up in situations where they shouldn't be able to escape or survive, maybe that's because they shouldn't have ended up in those situations in the first place. Outlining offers a great chance to think these scenarios over in your head before you write yourself into a hole. It also gives you a great opportunity to sprinkle in elements that can help save you later. For example, if your fleet of spaceships is outnumbered, maybe they have superior weaponry. Now that you've solved the scenario, you can go back in your outline and find places to mention that they have superior weaponry before that plot element actually comes into play. My second tip is to carefully consider each character's actual role in the story. I know that it's easy to get attached to great characters. I myself have held on to characters for way too long. But once a character has served their actual purpose in the story, what's the point of keeping them there? If you are struggling with a character's invincibility, but the character doesn't actually need to continue on in the universe, consider changing your plot armor to an emotionally charged death scene. Number 3, if all else fails, use your plot armor as character development. If you can't find any other way out of a situation than to say, well, the character survived, then use it to your own advantage. For example, if plot armor occurs near the introduction of a character, it can actually be a good way to show that the character is stronger or smarter or more resilient than the reader expected. When used intentionally and in this way, it can actually be a great way to advance your character. On the other hand, if plot armor occurs near the end of your book, you can use this to show a change in character. For example, let's say your protagonist has been captured and is expected to be executed. However, the evil general ends up pardoning her. Instead of spinning this circumstance as luck on the main character's part, paint it as character growth for the evil general, you know, as part of their arc. Maybe the next time the general captures a prisoner, he spares their life as well. This method effectively eliminates luck or random flukes and turns them into character growth and change. Overall, if you're having issues with this, just make sure to utilize the power of outlining, consider killing off more of your characters, and learn to transform lucky plot armor into compelling arcs. So those are my tips. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to return next week because Mr. Imagination is back, and this time he is taking over the channel. Not looking forward to that. If you would like to submit to Reviewing Your Stories Part 4, I have the Wattpad book as well as my email linked in the description below, so go ahead and check that out. You can send me 5,000 words of any project you're working on and I'll read it and review it in an upcoming video. And until next time, may the gods of plot be ever on your side. Looks like I've done my work for the day. It's time for a cup of tea. What the hell am I saying? I don't even know.